Do I still think that research is important? Yes, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be done differently. Can't find it, but I remember being in a training, seeing there was this photo of like from like the 70s of like this white dude researcher sitting in a chair interviewing this black child or analyzing them or whatever, like watching their behavior while the child was just on the floor. Like you could see the physical gap between them, the outsider watching, the power distance, etc. And that was used as an example of what we're trying not to do as researchers now. But me being the unwritten rules of work person, I would say that while we have started talking about that and I hope improved in that way, there's still a lot of ways we do that in the unwritten. We may offer them a chair now, we may compensate them more now for their participation, but we need to remember to include those people in the actual work. I've said over and over again, I say it in my book and I'll say it forever. I think part of why my unwritten rules of work research has resonated with so many is my team was very diverse. They were very involved in the whole process from, designing the study to analyzing it to reports. And they were very young and needed a lot of training, mostly undergrad, some grad. And they needed I had to train them on how to do the methods, but their lived experience still shaped and colored the work. And sadly, most of them did not end up going into research, so I can't work with them forever in the rest of my life. But sometimes people have career changes, and here's to fingers crossed. But those are the people whose names you see in my book because it made a big difference. And I've also been on huge research projects, ironically, at the place that was training me on that, where the people who did almost all the work had no say and certainly didn't get credit or authorship when it was done. Or it was like they're like seventh author. So we can improve things. The current system relies on us to think in an either or mentality. Either we have things exactly as they are, or we just give it all up and go into chaos. And this is a fear tactic that we see people use a lot. We see the harms happening with research being dialed back on a lot of things, such as cancer trials being shut off by Doge. Do I think we should just stop doing things? No. Conducting research in the ivory tower without integrating with communities that it impacts, without being boots on the ground with it, without community work, that is where the flaws are. The ivory tower is really good at teaching methodological rigor, but not on enforcing it on its own self, not on even having their own hiring held accountable to methodological rigor in their own promotions on the tenure track. If you want to know if an academic actually practices what they preach, look at what they do within their own organizations, especially if they have power like a dean or something. Are they applying evidence-based practice to hiring and promotion and such? Probably not. But there are other ways to do research, and that's part of why I do research, but I'm not in the academy. I still have relationships with people who are in universities. I still collaborate with people who are in universities, but that's just not, I do it on my own usually, or with partnerships. There are other places that do research, like nonprofits, think tanks, etc. And you have to look at who's funding them, what their incentives are, etc. And if the people who they are researching are actively involved in the work.